When you're 80 years old, you see life differently. You stop pretending that time is infinite. You stop assuming that later will come. You stop caring about the things you once chased and start grieving the things you didn't. And somewhere in the quiet of those final years, regrets begin to whisper, not with bitterness, but with a strange kind of tenderness. Like old friends who stopped by to remind you of everything you once meant to do. It's not the loud regrets that haunt you most. It's the quiet ones. The moments that slipped through unnoticed. The years you don't even remember rushing through. The some days that never came. And if you ask someone at 80 what they regret most, they won't give you a list of failures. They'll give you a list of silences, of pauses that should have been action, of things they thought they had more time to fix. I spent months interviewing dozens of 80-year-olds, asking them one simple question. If you could go back and change anything, what would it be? Their answers will surprise you, challenge you, and hopefully change how you live starting today. Welcome to Life Reflections, where we pause, reflect on life, and learn from age. This episode is different. It's not just about regrets. It's about truths, the kind that only an 80-year-old can give you. Not the truths in books or speeches, but the ones people whisper when they know the clock can't be rewound. So grab a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and let's get started on unlocking some serious wisdom. Regret 1. Not being present. The number one regret wasn't about money, career, or even love. It was about time, but not in the way you might think. An old man told me, I was always thinking about tomorrow, always planning, always worrying about what came next. I missed so many beautiful moments because I was living everywhere except where I was. Margaret, 82, told me about watching her grandson's first steps through a camera lens. Because she was so focused on capturing the moment, she nearly missed experiencing it. This regret goes deeper than just putting down phones or cameras. It's about mental presence. How many conversations have you had while your mind was elsewhere? How many sunsets have you witnessed without really seeing them? The 80-year-olds I spoke with described a profound sadness about being spectators to their own lives. They were physically present, but mentally absent, always planning the next move instead of appreciating the current one. Here's what they'd tell you. The dishes can wait, the emails can wait, but your child's laugh, your partner's story about their day, the way the light hits the trees on your morning walk, these moments are finite. They're happening now, and they'll never happen exactly this way again. One 85-year-old named Robert put it perfectly. I spent 60 years preparing to live, instead of actually living. Regret 2. Caring too much about others' opinions. I wore masks for so long I forgot what my real face looked like. I spent decades being who I thought other people wanted me to be. This was Dorothy, 81, who described a lifetime of shape-shifting to fit others' expectations. She chose her career based on her parents' approval, her clothes based on fashion magazines, and even her hobbies based on what seemed impressive to others. But here's the twist. The people whose opinions she was so worried about, most of them weren't even paying attention. They were too busy worrying about what others thought of them. The elderly shared story after story of opportunities missed because of fear of judgment. The art classes were never taken because someone might think they weren't talented. The bold career moves never made because someone might think they were crazy. The authentic relationships never formed because someone might think they were weird. Here's the liberating truth they discovered too late. Most people are so consumed with their own insecurities, they're barely noticing yours. And the few who are judging, their opinions say more about them than about you. Eleanor, 84, laughed when she told me, I wasted 40 years trying to impress people I didn't even like. Imagine if I'd spent that energy impressing myself instead. The message from 8 decades of life. Your authenticity is your superpower. The right people will love you for who you are, and the wrong people's opinions don't matter anyway. Regret 3. Not taking care of their health. I treated my body like a rental car. I figured I could abuse it and return it later, but this is the only body I get. The third regret was both the most predictable and the most heartbreaking. This wasn't just about diet and exercise, though. Those came up constantly. It was about the fundamental relationship with their own physical selves. Frank, 79, told me he spent his 30s and 40s eating fast food, smoking, and pulling all-nighters. He thought he was proving his dedication to work and family. Instead, he was stealing years from both. The regret isn't just about the diseases or limitations that came later. It's about all the activities they can no longer do with grandchildren, the trips they can't take, the independence they've lost. But here's what might surprise you. They weren't just talking about dramatic lifestyle changes. The regrets were often about small, consistent neglect. Not stretching after long days at the desk, not drinking enough water, not taking mental health seriously, not getting regular checkups, not learning to manage stress before it managed them. Someone told me, I thought self-care was selfish. I thought taking time for my health meant taking time away from my family. Now I realize that not taking care of myself was the most selfish thing I could do. The message here isn't about perfection, it's about respect. Respecting your body enough to give it what it needs. Respecting your future self enough to make deposits in your health account now. As Maria, 83, told me, your body is not just carrying you through life, it is your life. Treat it like the miracle it is. Regret 4. Not pursuing their dreams. The fourth regret cut the deepest because it was about unlived potential. I had so many dreams. I was going to write a novel, learn piano, travel to Europe, start my own business. I kept telling myself someday. Well, someday never came. This was James, 86, whose eyes filled with tears as he described the creative life he never lived. He wasn't alone. Nearly every person I interviewed had a version of this story. But here's what was interesting. It wasn't always about grand, dramatic dreams. Sometimes it was about smaller aspirations that seemed just as important in retrospect. Learning a language, taking cooking classes, volunteering for a cause they cared about, having deeper conversations with their children, reading more books, gardening, dancing. The common thread? They all involved some form of creative expression or personal growth that they postponed in favor of more practical concerns. Now, I'm not suggesting you should quit your job tomorrow to become a professional artist. These 80-year-olds aren't naive about the realities of life. They understand responsibilities, bills, and obligations. What they regret is not finding any way to honor these parts of themselves, not carving out even small spaces for the things that made them feel alive. I realize now that I didn't need to choose between being responsible and being creative. I could have been both. Even 30 minutes a day would have been something. Ruth, 82, started painting at 75. She showed me her work, beautiful, expressive pieces full of life. When I complimented them, she said, "Imagine what I could have created with 40 more years of practice." The message? Your dreams don't have expiration dates, but your time does. Start now, even if it's just for 15 minutes a day. Future you will thank you. Regret 5. Not building deeper relationships. I had hundreds of acquaintances, but only a handful of real friends. I was so busy networking I forgot about actually connecting. This was Patricia, 80, who described a life full of social activities but empty of deep relationships. She attended every office party, neighborhood barbecue, and community event. but rarely had conversations that went beyond small talk. The regret wasn't about being introverted or extroverted. It was about choosing breadth over depth, quantity over quality. Many described the sobering moment when they realized they had no one to call when they truly needed support. Not because people didn't like them, but because they'd never invested in relationships deep enough to weather life's storms. But this regret extended beyond friendships. It was about family relationships too. I thought I was close to my children because I provided for them, but I never really knew them. I never asked about their fears, their dreams, their real thoughts about life. This was Thomas, 84, whose successful career came at the cost of emotional intimacy with his family. He knew their schedules but not their struggles. He knew their achievements but not their anxieties. The elderly I spoke with emphasized that building deeper relationships isn't about having more time. It's about being more intentional with the time you have. It's about asking better questions. Instead of, "How was your day?" Try, "What was the best part of your day?" Instead of talking about the weather, share something you're genuinely excited about or worried about. Mary, 85, put it beautifully. Shallow relationships are like shallow pools. They look nice from a distance, but you can't swim in them when the storms come. The message? Invest in depth. Have fewer, better relationships. Be vulnerable first. Your future self will be grateful for the connections you build today. Regret. 6. Not expressing love and gratitude enough. I thought they knew. I thought it was obvious how much I loved them, how grateful I was. But I never said it enough. And now it's too late. This was William, 78, talking about his late wife and parents. His regret wasn't about not feeling love or gratitude. It was about not expressing it. So many of the elderly I spoke with described moments when they wanted to tell someone how much they meant to them, how grateful they were, how proud they were, but they hesitated. They thought there would be another time, a better moment, a more appropriate setting. The regret is compounded by the fact that expressing love and gratitude isn't just a gift to others, it's a gift to ourselves. It deepens our relationships and our own sense of connection and meaning. I saved "I love you" for special occasions. I saved compliments for achievements. I saved "thank you" for grand gestures. What a waste. Every day was a special occasion. Every moment was an achievement. Every kindness was a grand gesture. This was Helen, 81, who now makes it a point to tell people exactly how she feels about them. She said, "At my age, I don't have time for unsaid words." The message from 8 decades of life? Don't wait for the perfect moment to express love and gratitude. The perfect moment is now. Text that friend who made you laugh. Call your parents and tell them something specific you appreciate about them. Write that thank you note. Say "I love you" more often. Be embarrassingly grateful and generous with your appreciation. Because here's the truth these 80-year-olds learned too late. No one has ever been hurt by too much love or too much gratitude, but countless people have been hurt by too little. So there they are, the 6 biggest regrets of people who've lived 8 decades on this earth. Not being present in their own lives, caring too much about others' opinions, not taking care of their health, not pursuing their dreams, not building deeper relationships, not expressing love and gratitude enough. But here's the beautiful thing about regrets. When shared with wisdom and love, they become roadmaps for those who come after. Don't wait. Start now. Be brave. Love deeply. Live fully. These 80-year-olds aren't sharing their regrets to depress you or make you afraid. They're sharing them as gifts, hard-won wisdom wrapped in hope. Because unlike them, you still have time. You still have choices. You still have the opportunity to live without these regrets. So what will you do with this wisdom? How will you live differently starting today? Will you put down your phone during dinner tonight and really listen to your loved ones? Will you finally sign up for that class you've been thinking about? Will you tell someone how much they mean to you? Will you choose authenticity over approval? Will you treat your body like the miracle it is? Will you ask deeper questions and build stronger connections? The elderly I spoke with all said the same thing. They don't want sympathy for their regrets. They want action. They want their hard-learned lessons to become your lived wisdom. Time is the one thing we can never get back. But with awareness, intention, and courage, we can make sure we don't waste what we have left. Your 80-year-old self is depending on the choices you make today. Don't let them down. And if this reflection stirred something in you, a memory, a quiet ache, or a sense of urgency, I hope you carry that forward. If you found this meaningful, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might need this message today. Until next time, grab a coffee, reflect on life, learn from age, because midlife, and every age, is a journey, not a crisis.